That she had a natural aptitude is one of those quirks of nature, when someone has exactly the right combination of hand-eye coordination, muscle steadiness, good eyesight, and patience. But there was another, more nebulous quality which not every good shot possessed, and which differentiates the sniper from an ordinary rifleman. Exactly what it is often argued about. Some define it as an inherent hunting instinct, not always present in men, and even rarer in women. Others define it as strength of purpose, the possession of willpower far beyond that of the accepted norm. Certainly, Lyudmila's faith in her country, its politics, and the justice of the Soviet cause never wavered, and this provided her with extraordinary determination, often in the face of overwhelming odds. In common with the rest of the Soviet army, dying for the motherland was considered a worthwhile sacrifice, and perhaps this provided her with a reason to continue after being wounded so often, when others would have fallen by the wayside. Latterly, the need to avenge her husband must also have driven her on. Yet in many respects, Pavlichenko was not the heroic material the propagandists were looking for. True, she was not unattractive, but she had typical sniper's characteristics. She was reticent, bordering on introverted, shy of publicity, and wanted solely to do her job, or kill fascists, as she bluntly put it. Gregarious snipers must certainly have existed, but they were rare and probably did not survive in their chosen field for long. As interest grew around her role, Pavlichenko stated, a sniper should not draw attention to him or herself. The main prerequisite for operating successfully was remaining hidden. This applied not solely to the battlefield, but also to her wariness of publicity. Snipers needed the patience of a cat, innate cunning, and an attitude to their profession that might reasonably be described as obsessive. As an example, consider the effort she put into finding and killing the German sniper concealed on the bridge. Hours of careful observation, putting herself in the mental shoes of the German sniper, returning time and again, and being prepared to continue to do so with no guaranteed end result in sight. This was not something that the average soldier would have had the perseverance for. Perhaps this seems at odds with the woman who undertook a world tour and met presidents and politicians, but she had to make the best of the situation into which she had been placed. Nor should it be forgotten that she had been wounded 4 times, each of which would have had some deleterious effect on her mental and physical state, and worst of all, she had buried her husband of a few weeks, Lieutenant Alexei Arkadyevich Kitsenka, in Sevastopol only a few months before being taken out of the front lines. Whilst there is now a considerable body of material available to medical science on the long-term effects of combat on male soldiers, almost nothing has been researched about women, because so few have ever served as combat troops. It is therefore impossible to determine what condition she was in when she left Russia. On the one hand, she was expected to show the Soviet army in the best possible light to their allies, with no real experience of mass public speaking, facing the press and radio reporters, or even of being out of Russia. As she stated, simply being in Moscow was like a foreign country to her, so the challenges she faced and the pressure she was under in being sent to Europe and the United States must have been immense. She also had to be careful, as she was accompanied by party officials who noted every word she said. In addition, she despised much of the media she was exposed to. In particular, she could not comprehend the lack of understanding of the realities of war when in America, where journalists asked what makeup she wore in the front lines and discussed in detail the hemlines on her army uniform. She did on occasion snap, once telling the assembled crowds that they had been hiding behind the backs of fighting men for too long. Nor was she happy about being asked to demonstrate her shooting.